I'm gonna do a story time today because I told you guys in the last video that I was gonna do the one where I am going to tell you where I've been for the last year and what I've been through for the last year. So yeah, I'm gonna get right into that video. Okay, so the story starts off with me on this dating site, and it's a very well-known dating site, and I met this guy, I started talking to him, and we're gonna name this guy Richard. It's short for another name for Richard. And everything was going good. I went out on a date with him after we talked for a while and we Skyped and everything like that. Then I went on a date with him. We went for pizza. Things were really good. He picked me up from school to go on this date. I was in community college, and this date, I thought was going really, really well. And he went and met my grandma and my mom, who were the only ones at home, and he didn't quite make the best first impression, but it was better than a lot of other ones. But yeah, 2 weeks into this relationship, after I started dating him, when he asked me to be his girlfriend, I said, okay. And then he started telling me that he loved me after 2 weeks, and I was saying the same thing because I thought, I like this guy so much, I don't want to lose him. And so we started officially dating, after that, and about a month into the relationship, he calls me and tells me that he needs a place to stay and that some unforeseen circumstances arised that caused him to move out of the apartment where I would visit him, and every day I would go and visit him after school, almost every day. And my grandparents took him in for me because they were doing it as a favor to me when they didn't have to. And so he moved in that day, and he didn't make a good impression there either, because he was making comments and all kinds of different things. And about 6 months after him and I had been together, and we'd been living together for about 5 to 6 months, and he was starting to get really bad, and this is where it kind of starts. But 6 months after I started dating him, he proposed to me, and I said yes. That was a mistake on my part, big mistake. And I said yes, so we were engaged to be married, and we had the wedding set for July of 2019. And unfortunately, we had to postpone the wedding and a lot of other things because he decided that he was going to attack my 75-year-old grandfather out of just anger and being drunk. And obviously, police were involved, and my grandpa didn't press charges, and it was just this whole big mess. And so he was kicked out of my family's house, and I decided to go with him. And we moved into a completely new city with his mother. We moved in with his mom, and she was not great either. And so, we moved in there, and, we agreed on all different kinds of rules and things like that, and it was hard to adjust and everything because of, me leaving my family home of 20 years, and it was a whole big mess. And, we still wanted to get married and all kinds of stuff, and his mom was very verbally abusive to me and to him, but mainly to me, because she didn't like me. And it, again, was very hard to adjust to someone being like that to you when you've never met them before, and never, you've never, been around that person for more than however long you've met them for. But I was living with this person, and I was living with, my boyfriend and his mom. He's not my boyfriend now, thank the Lord. But yeah, I was living with them, and things were really hard, and, you know, 6 months down the line, she got into a fight, his mother got into a fight with me, and, was saying all of these things to me, and, I stood back, I didn't attack her or anything, and she, was trying to call the police on me for things that I didn't do, and just because she didn't like me, and it was a whole big mess. And then, even further down the line, at least a year down the line, we're still trying to plan on getting married, and 2019 comes around, and we were, again, supposed to get married in July of this year, and it didn't happen that way, because he started getting really, verbally abusive, and there was a day, 2 days after my birthday, my 21st birthday, he took me to a bar down the street from our apartment with his mom, that we lived in with his mom, and we went, just to chill out and have a good time, and, drink a little bit and have some bowling. And so I had a couple of drinks, and then he had, big pitcher of beer and a shot and a pint of beer and all kinds of stuff. And he was really intoxicated, and he was acting a fool and, doing all of this, really stupid stuff. And he then, kept going into the bar and using the bathroom, and I eventually, had to tell the bartender, I said, you need to cut him off for the night. And, then he comes out and starts ranting and raving and just all of this stuff, and he gets mad at me and runs out the door and runs behind the bowling alley, and I couldn't find him, and so I ended up walking home at 12 in the morning in an area that I didn't know, and I couldn't find out where he was, and I kept calling him and calling him and calling him, and he left me a very nasty voicemail, basically stating that he couldn't stand me anymore, and F me, and all of that kind of stuff, and he didn't want to be around me. And eventually I made it back to the apartment, where he was just sprawled on the bed, drunk, and he was really sick, obviously, and I tried to do my best to take care of him. I didn't get any sleep, and that's when I thought to myself, this can't keep happening. I can't keep dealing with this mess. And I eventually told him, hey, I need some time for myself. I'm gonna go spend 2 weeks with my family so I can get out of here, just for a little bit. And so he agreed to it, dropped me off here, and he went back home, and I was spending time with my family for 2 weeks, and I was really enjoying myself. I wasn't riddled with anxiety, because I have an anxiety disorder, so it makes it really hard for me to drop something when it happens to me every day. But when I came home, it felt much more natural, and it felt a lot better, and I wasn't dealing with the constant fear and the constant, you know, thoughts racing through my brain, and about being anxious and things like that. And then I get a text from him one of the days that I was visiting with my family, and he says, "Oh, well, I need you to come home to watch out for this person and this person." And I texted him and I said, "No." I said, "I'm not going to leave what I'm doing to do what you want me to do while I don't have the resources to go home." And I eventually just broke down to my mom and I said, "I can't do this anymore. I need to come home. I need to move out." And I cried to her, and I cried and cried and cried. And that's when I moved home. Or not when I moved home, but the day that I decided to move home. And I ended up breaking up with him that day, or he broke up with me. And I told him that I needed to talk to him about something, and that he probably wasn't going to like it. And I basically told him that I was moving back home, and that I was taking my dog, who was laying right at my feet, who's whining like a baby. And, I wanted him to be supportive of it, and that we could still be in a relationship and not live together. And he got really mad at me and started calling me and trying to give me an ultimatum that if I took our dog and left, that it was over. And that's when I was like, okay then, whatever. I was like, "You're not going to do that to me." And then he started accusing me of sleeping around and keeping things from him, and I'm not that type of person. I don't keep things like that from anybody that I date, and I'm not a cheater. I don't do all that kind of stuff. And I just told him, it's done. It's over. And I was engaged to this guy. And so I broke off our engagement. I broke off everything. And he then said that he was going to bring his mom down here to talk, and that, we needed to work things out. And I told him, "Don't bring her here because you guys are going to get arrested. And I'm not going to stick up for you." And so he didn't do it. And then he tried to call me and tell me that he was making a big mistake, and that he couldn't live without me, and he wanted to be around me, and he was so sorry for acting like that, and that he was stupid, and just all of the things that guys will say when they're in the wrong, or vice versa. But I told him I can't do that. I said, there's no absolute way that I'm ever taking you back again after the things that you did. And then the next day, he was still texting me and calling me and begging to get back together with me. And I told him, no. I said, it's done. It's over. Nothing that you can say or do is going to fix the damage that you've caused and the things that you've said to me. And he just finally just let up about it. And I said, I hope that things go well for you, and you find someone that will do what you want, and learn to be around your mom and you. And that was the end of it. And I haven't talked to him since, and I'm glad for that. And now I'm in a much better place. I'm going to beauty school, and I am learning a lot, and I'm, really figuring myself out. And, and one thing that I'm going to say is that if you're ever in a situation where you are a complete and utter mess, you need to think about what you need to think about your health, your safety, and anything that you might have with this person, such as pets or children or anything like that, because even if they don't physically hurt you, there's still parts of you that can be hurt, whether it's physical or not. And that's what I dealt with, is I dealt with emotional and verbal abuse every single day for 2 years. And it was bad, and I finally had the courage to get up and leave. So just because they're not physically hitting you or physically putting their hands on you to a point where you're being hurt, that doesn't matter. It's still abuse. If they're verbally abusing you and emotionally abusing you, that's still abuse. But you do have the ability to get out of it. You do have people to talk to. You have a lot of resources. You still have a lot of resources to help yourself get out of that situation. And that's where I'm going to leave it. If you guys liked this video, please give me a like, and I will do any other things that you guys request. If you guys want makeup videos, vlogs, or anything like that, I will definitely try my best to make it. And again, don't underestimate yourself when you're in an abusive situation. Alright, guys.